TNA Wrestling landed on AMC. The lights were brighter, the budget bigger, and millions of potential eyes were supposed to be watching. But after the dust settled in Dallas, did it actually deliver? Or was it just the same old TNA with a fresh coat of paint? Welcome back to Sudden Impact. Today we aren't just reciting results, we are looking at the reality of TNA Wrestling's AMC debut. Videos like this take time to make, so please show your support by subscribing and buying a cup of coffee so we can continue to provide you in-depth analysis like this. Back to the episode. Let's be brutally honest. TNA needed to hit a home run. They were live from the Curtis Culwell Center during prime time, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. The presentation, it was supposed to look big league. The claustrophobia of the smaller venues gone, but the viewers who turned in to see these things actually saw that the crowd wasn't that large, and just over 2,000 tickets had been sold in a venue that normally holds more than 3 times that. TNA tried stacking the card and had AJ Styles open the show and be involved in several backstage segments with both competitors who were in the main event that evening. They even had the Hardys team up with Elijah, formerly WWE's Elias, in the opening match. The debuts of Sonya Deville, now known as Daria Ray, Cora Jade, now going by Elena Black, and having Nick Nemeth at the end of the show to set up the main event of the Genesis pay-per-view after Mike Santana had won the World Championship back from Frankie Kazarian wasn't enough. I mean, having current and ex-WWE people from the nostalgia-filled 90s and 2010s and wrestling now appear on the debut show of a wrestling company on a new network should have popped a rating. However, it didn't. The small number of viewers and fans who actually watched the episode on AMC gave it a 1.76 out of 10 rating on a wrestling site Cage Match. Simply put, TNA didn't deliver on a night that should have been the biggest in the company's history. If TNA were hoping to step out of WWE's large and looming shadow and show that they could stand on their own 2 feet and possibly become the number 2 wrestling promotion in the US purely based on viewership numbers, comparing with AEW, this episode showed that they were clearly not able to do either. The reasons for this, well, audio issues, wrestlers having visa issues, and also wrestlers leaving for bigger and better opportunities with WWE and AEW days before the debut. And the show's actual pacing was also too slow, as there were only 3 matches over the 2-hour program. 3 matches just isn't enough. A live crowd of just over 2,000 isn't enough. Having visa issues for wrestlers when the show had been promoted for months is inexcusable. There were segments and matches that were planned for the episode which used wrestlers who are working on visas with TNA. Danny Luna didn't have a scheduled match on the debut episode, but it would have been the final opportunity for her and Lei Ying Lee to have one final face-off before their championship match at the Genesis pay-per-view that was on the Saturday. As Luna wasn't there, TNA had to make a hurried adjustment and have NXT's Zarya challenge for Lee's Knockouts Championship at Genesis instead. Even Leon Slater, the current X Division champion, didn't make it to the debut episode or the pay-per-view for the same reason. This was worse because he was defending his championship on both the AMC debut and Genesis. So his match on Impact had to be cancelled, also because his opponent Myron Reed of the Rascals had signed with AEW shortly after the new year alongside his fellow Rascal teammates. And TNA did manage to find a replacement for him in his match at Genesis with Joe Hendry, who was already scheduled to appear at the pay-per-view, taking Slater's place in the scheduled three-way match against Cedric Alexander and Moose. However, this is just so frustrating because TNA knew they had this problem and they didn't address it early enough. These mistakes are just something that you don't see with AEW or WWE, and just makes it seem like TNA is so far behind both companies that it just isn't feasible for them to think that they are or could ever be the number 2 promotion in America again. What did you think about the AMC debut? Will you be watching tonight's episode? Let me know in the comments. I'm John, and this has been another episode of Sudden Impact. We'll see you in the next one.